In Asian context, when we see a kid misbehaving and we see a kid running wild, we just term it as like, oh, they're just very naughty, they are just very unruly and things like that. A lot of times, some of these kids, when they act out, it's actually a survival mode. They're actually trying to protect themselves from being harmed, being scolded.
I think adults are expecting their kids to behave the same way as they behave. So that's why by understanding the brain development, it's really helpful for parents to understand that your child is actually work in progress.
Hi Elaine.
Hi Jenny.
Long time no see you.
Yeah, it's been years.
Can you tell me where are you now? What have you been doing?
Oh, by the way, I just created this space called PrimeState Wellness, emphasizing on the importance of mental health. Before we dive into the topic that we're going to discuss today, would you like to tell us, the audience, more about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Jeannie. I'm a clinical psychologist by profession. I have been working actually in the government previously for 11 years. And I work mostly with children and adolescents, even parents as well, managing different kinds of mental health issues and even parenting and things like that.
I think it's pretty important nowadays to sort of raise awareness in mental health. That's the reason we have this topic today, to talk about depression in kids and adolescents.
And I think it's very important, like you said, to raise awareness, because a lot of times I think in Asian context, right, when we see a kid misbehaving and we see a kid running wild or having that mood swings and stuff like that.
Meltdowns.
And then we just term it as like, oh, they're just very naughty, they are just very unruly and things like that.
Very manja.
Correct.
Seek for attention.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when we look further into the deeper root cause of it, there's a lot of other things that are, actually putting them at that current state. Sometimes kids, when they have meltdowns and when they misbehave, it's not necessarily a sign of bad behavior, but sometimes it's things that they are going through, whether it's a new environment, starting a new school, a different
changes.
teacher. Many changes. They can cause them to act out because they are so used to one particular person, but then suddenly they have a new different routine.
And parents, I think they don't have a framework of management or guidance or protocols when they are dealing with different situations. So let me explain more on the brain development of a child when we explain on the topic in depression. To make things more simple is that I will explain two parts of a brain, which is the upper brain and the lower brain. The upper brain, namely the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of our rational thinking, impulse control, planning, more complicated feelings and thinking, while the lower brain is in charge of our survival instinct and emotions, which is the anger, the irritation, and every source of emotion is in charge by the amygdala. So what happened in kid is that the amygdala will be well developed first before the prefrontal cortex. So that will explain why in depression in kids, the usual manifestation will be irritability, of anger outbursts and stuff like that, because the amygdala is well developed, but the prefrontal cortex is underdeveloped. So, you have an emotional outburst, but there's no upper brain to sort of calm them down. So that explains why in a kid that they have more meltdowns and irritability and meltdowns, but yet there's no ability to sort of control that because the upper brain is not developed just yet.
Yep. I totally agree, and I think that's why sometimes we have to also understand a little bit more how the brain develops, and then we look at the behavior, because a lot of times I think parents or teachers would tend to look at the behavior rather than understand their development. So when we understand their development in terms of the upper and lower brain, we can actually see that, a lot of times some of these kids, when they act out, it's actually a survival mode. They're actually trying to protect themselves from being harmed or, being scolded or being punished or things like that. But when we continuously use those methods to try to achieve our outcome, it actually goes the opposite direction of what we actually want them to do. Sometimes when we see children, especially from about 3 to 8, 9, 10 like that, you can see that they tend to somatize a lot of their symptoms like stomach ache, headache, I got toothache, here ache, there ache, or sometimes they are just irritable, they just don't clingy, correct, they don't want to sleep, they don't want to do things, they are just a little bit more like rebellious or defiant, but not really that, because they are trying to just keep themselves safe in the terms of the brain function.
Yeah, I think adults are expecting their kids to behave the same way as they behave. So that's why by understanding the brain development, it's really helpful for parents to understand that, hey, your child's is actually,
not mini-me's.
Work in progress, right? It's not really, me. I think you mentioned about, when the lower brain is active, basically they're seeking for safety. So I think secure attachment, like you mentioned, is very important.
Maybe I can ask you a question. What do you think secure attachment actually looks like?
Well, I think a secure attachment looks very much like beyond the physical attachment. So you can really hugging your child, but your mind is elsewhere. That's not secure attachment. So I guess the attachment that we are trying to emphasize is the connection, like the emotional connection. When you have that, then you can actually co-regulate the emotion with your child. And many parents say that, I spend so much time with my kids, with activities and stuff like that, but they are not actually there.
Correct. I think I totally agree with that, because I think a lot of parents nowadays think that by fulfilling or packing up your child's schedule and maybe spending some time in between is already enough. I've done my parental duty. But I think children, they need more of the connection, and for them to really feel that you are there and you love them and you are really connecting and listening to them. Because a lot of times I think now handphones, social medias, even our work takes over everything else that we are actually really, really that's important to us. Even over meal times, I think I often see family members sitting all together.
Everyone has their own gadget, right?
Exactly. So they're all on their own phone, and there's not much of a conversation. And even if the conversations, they're very minimal, there's not much of a connection of really understanding whether your child is really okay, not okay, and things like that. So I think psychologically it's not just attachment, but also understanding that sometimes encouraging words will build up the child as well, because as they go through the younger stage, they're actually trying to excel in certain things that they're doing, but they fumble because of course they're new to a certain skills, a certain set of things that they are learning, but when they fumble and they have good parents and also good attachment, they know that they can stand up again. But when they have parents who are a little bit more detached, they don't know, and they don't even have any other family member support or friend support, then they will feel like, I'm actually not that good, I failed already, I'm bad, I'm a failure. And then they would slowly start to internalize some of this kind of thoughts, experiences, and they feel like I can't stand up again.
So just to recap, right, in kids, their way to show a possible depression will be irritability, frequent meltdowns. It can manifest physically, like headache or stomach ache, any pains anywhere. Some younger kids can actually go into regression. So this might be a telltale sign for your kid that's experiencing sort of emotional struggle. Okay,
so just to add on also, apart from understanding the community and all those kind of things, when we can also request for help, the professional help, one of the things that the parents can do is to also click on the link that's attached below. It's actually a CESDC It's a free tool to assess your kid from 6 to 17 years old. It will give you an idea about your child's, if there's any depressive symptoms and things like that. It helps to identify if there's any struggles that they have. So the questions is very simple for kids above 6 years old to read. If your child wants their own privacy, or if they want you to read together with them, you can also do that. So once you fill up the form, we will contact you further, and then we will also assist and also explain if there's any needs as well.
So thank you for joining us today. So please like and subscribe our channel for more mental health information.